cannot take this anymore. Saying everything I said before. All these words, they make no sense. I find bliss in ignorance. Less I hear, the less you say. You'll find that out anyway. Just like before. Everything you say to me.
So recently, Dream Rider has put the challenge out there to find a more brutal paved climb than Penang Hill in Malaysia. And I know of such a climb, which I will talk about shortly. But let's first have a look at how steep Penang Hill really is. So I went onto Dream Rider's Strava profile and I selected the Penang Hill segment over here. It's about 5 kilometers and the average gradient is 14%. So if we look at the steepest section here on the climb, we select that part, we can see it's got a pretty steady gradient over there. Doesn't look like there's any crazy spikes in gradient. We can see that it is 19.2% for 1.3 Ks. And that seems to be the hardest section of the climb. It's got the steepest gradient and it's the most unrelenting gradient for that amount of time. So 19.7%, 1.1 Ks. So if we move it up a little bit here, you can see the climb flattens out to 9.4% for 900 meters, so nothing too crazy there. And then it kicks up here again to a more brutal gradient of 18.4% for 400 meters. And then it continues at about 17% for 800 meters. And then flattens out again. Flattens out significantly to 5.5% for 300 meters. And then it kicks up again to 19.3% for 300 meters. Flattens out again to 0.7% for 300 meters, about 1.9% for 400 meters. And then it kicks up again towards the end to 16 or 17% for 200 meters. So yes, it is definitely a brutal climb, and it is hard to find something that challenges that in the world. But there is definitely a paved climb that will put this Penang Hill to shame, and I'm going to show you now which one I'm talking about. So here it is. It is the Scanupia via Mulga Palazzo, and I have selected the segment here by the fastest rider on the climb, Alessandro Forni. So this is the whole climb. It's 7.8. Okay, that's actually a little bit long. Flattens out there at the top. So 7.5 Ks at 17.6%. Another segment is 7.1 Ks at 18%. So for the average gradient, it's significantly steeper than Penang Hill by about 4%. So already there, it has a steeper gradient, which is unrelenting for a long time, for a longer distance. So it already takes the cake as the harder climb between the two. But anyway, let's look at the steepest, most brutal section for the climb. It's actually here at the beginning. We've got the steepest slope here. And we can see that it's 20.3% for 2.3 kilometers. So that is insane. And that is a brutal gradient. And I've also seen on the video that it kicks up all the way to 45%. But let's give Penang Hill the benefit of the doubt and say that it also kicks up to 45% on the steepest section. Of course, you can't see those micro severe increases in gradient on Strava. So say that the steepest section on Penang Hill is also about 45%. Yeah, here we can see 1.6 Ks, 1.3 Ks, 22.9%, 23% for 1K. So it's just insane gradients here, man. Yeah, so that's just the first part of the climb. And then it flattens out. Doesn't really flatten out at all. It chills a little bit more in the middle at 14% for 900 meters. and then it kicks up again towards the end. Very steady gradient though, it doesn't look like the gradient changes too much. Kicks up towards the end, 4K is 17.7%. So this is definitely more brutal than Penang Hill in my opinion. And for those of you that have done Penang Hill and Scanupia Mulga Palazzo, leave your experiences down in the comments below and let me know which one you think is harder, which is the hardest paved climb in the world. And I'm also not talking about the longest climbs in the world. Of course, there are climbs that are longer than these two climbs in the world, but in my opinion, this has the most unrelenting gradient for the longest time, steepest unrelenting gradient for the longest period of time. So yeah, Scanupia Mulga Palazzo, in my opinion, is the hardest paved climb in the world.